Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Newtown deserve a vote. The families of Aurora deserve a vote. The families of Oak Creek and Tucson and Blacksburg and the countless other communities ripped open by gun violence, they deserve a simple vote. They deserve a simple vote.
That was President Obama during the State of the Union address, saying communities torn apart by gun violence in this country deserve a vote on stricter gun control measures. But now we know that the vote on that part of the bill that includes an assault weapons ban will not take place. It's now going to be offered as an amendment, which basically means it's going to die. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid nixed the idea of including it in the main bill that he is going to send to the floor, explaining his decision this way.
Right now, her amendment, using the most optimistic numbers, has less than 40 votes. That's not 60. I have to get something on the floor so we can have votes on that issue and the other issues that I've talked about.
He's talking about Dianne Feinstein's assault weapons ban, which she wanted to be part of the main bill so that it had a chance of passing. Harry Reid saying it doesn't. Now, Dianne Feinstein promises that the fight is not over, and she claims that Senator Reid did tell her that this would be offered as an amendment on the Senate floor, but listen.
It came out on a 10-8 vote of the Judiciary Committee. Not to give me a vote on this would be a major betrayal of trust.
Joining me now to discuss it, Monica Crowley. She's a radio talk show host, and Kirsten Powers, who's a Daily Beast columnist. Both are Fox News contributors. So what the viewers saw there by Dianne Feinstein, with all due respect to her, was spin and hope that has no foundation in reality. I mean, do we all agree her assault weapons ban, for all intents and purposes, is dead? It's not. Offering it as an amendment, it does nothing. It will not pass. It had very little chance of passing as part of the main bill, but now that it's going to be offered this way, zero chance. Let me start with you on that, Kirsten.
Yeah, well, look, when the president did this at the State of the Union, it was meant to shame the Republicans. But what was left unsaid was that a lot of Democrats weren't going to support it. And you had Harry Reid saying right there, he has less than 40 votes. So that means a lot of Democrats wouldn't vote for this. And I said at the time of the State of the Union that when the president did this, it was completely manipulative and it wasn't going to go anywhere. And I think that, that the reality is, if it's something that he really wanted, then why isn't he putting muscle behind it? Why are they all sort of throwing their hands up in the air and saying, oh, well, we can't do anything about it, after we were told, repeatedly from Democrats, various Democrats, including the president, that, think times had changed, that things were different now. And most Americans support this ban, by the way. It's about 57% support this ban. So there's really no excuse for it.
Well, but there is a reason for it. And the real reason, according to most of the folks who have been analyzing this, Monica, is Harry Reid is trying to protect the 10 or so Democrats who are in red states, who are up for re-election in 2014, who don't want to have to vote on Dianne Feinstein's assault weapons ban.
Yes, that's exactly right. And we think about Dianne Feinstein's signature piece of legislation, which was the original assault weapons ban passed in 1994. That required a lot of arm twisting on the part of President Bill Clinton on members of his own party for exactly this reason, because there are a lot of Democrats in a lot of red states with very big gun cultures and significant opposition to gun control measures that Clinton really had to work every bit of political capital he had to get that done in '94. Barack Obama has shown, even though he gave all of these remarks in the State of the Union address and elsewhere, Megan, that he's just not willing to pick up that fight and die on this particular hill. Harry Reid looks at his caucus and says, look, I've got 55 Democrats in my Senate caucus here. I can't even get 40 votes for this. I've got a number of very vulnerable Democrats coming up next year in very red states like Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, West Virginia, North Carolina, Montana, for example. And he said, look, I don't want them dying on this hill either. So I'm going to strip it out have it voted on. They will get a vote, voted on, though, as an amendment. And, of course, that means the death of the ban.
Yeah, I mean, even Dianne Feinstein said, look, I tried my best, but my best wasn't good enough. She knows what this means. Everybody knows what this means. But now there's a question about, as Monica raises, Kirsten, leadership. And President Clinton got this assault weapons ban passed with a lot of effort. I mean, he had to hustle on Capitol Hill to try to get people to vote for it. The NRA was a factor back then as well. And it's not just the NRA, but it's, you know, the hundreds of millions of Americans who have 100 million Americans who have guns. But let me ask you this, because this is Ron Fournier, National Journal Today, who is very disappointed, by the way, about this result, saying, I don't have the words to describe the cowardice of Congress or the depravity of the gun lobby. I can't explain the impotence of President Obama, who vowed to use whatever power this office holds to pass gun control legislation, but ultimately did not fight.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Monica's right where her analysis, her political analysis was exactly right. You know, but saying, you know, that he doesn't want these Democrats to die on this hill. The president doesn't want to die on this hill. And instead, more Americans will just die and more school children will be shot up. You know, I don't have any patience for this kind of cowardice, which is exactly what Ron Fournier is saying. At some point, you have to stand up and do at least what you say is right. Other people don't agree with this. I get that. I think it's right. The president has said it's right. He stood there and chanted, this, you know, deserves a vote.
It was the most moving moment of the State of the Union.
Yeah, and then it's just this sort of dies this quiet death. You know, where they're just going to let it go. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Bill Clinton forced people to walk off of planks, and they didn't get reelected for certain things. You know, when it came to things that were really important to him. So,
well, look at what President Obama did when it came to Obamacare.
Right.
I mean, we've seen him.
That's exactly right. Blanche
before.
Lincoln went to him in the White House and begged him not to do Obamacare, and he made her walk the plank, and she didn't get reelected. So that was a hill that he was willing to die on and let members of his party die on. What's interesting, though, I think what's different this time is that the 94 assault weapons ban, which spanned 10 years, so we have 10 years of evidence about the relative effectiveness of it, and what it showed was that it had minimal to no effect in preventing these kinds of crimes. So people are taking a look at this and saying, why should I vote for something that last time around was useless and ineffective and actually an unnecessary infringement on the Second Amendment?
Do they really believe? Are they really believers that it would make a difference? Just want to throw out one other thing, and that is there is a theory among some that this was the plan all along. They knew this part would never get through, and now this allows those in the Senate to look more reasonable when they cast a vote in favor of background checks and the remainder of the legislation, which, you know, pales in comparison to what was in the assault weapons ban. But we'll see whether that's got the votes as well. Panel, thank you both.
You bet.
Thanks,
Meg.